you've probably noticed the pattern. When the economy slows, governments step in. First, government spending increases on infrastructure, public services, or social support to keep economic activity going. Then central banks cut interest rates, making it cheaper to borrow, so businesses invest and people spend more. At the same time, liquidity is injected into the financial system, mainly through banks and credit markets, ensuring money is available for lending and investment. And as a result, the economy stabilizes. But over time, something changes. If you've ever wondered why the economy can feel stable on the surface, but problems keep returning underneath, this is where that pattern begins. In everyday life, when you suppress pain, it may feel better, but it doesn't cure the underlying problem. So, what happens in an economy when instability is continuously absorbed by policy? If stability is constantly enforced, why do the same problems keep returning? In previous episodes, we explored how competition behaves in capitalism and how coordination behaves in socialism. In both cases, we saw something similar. Systems don't behave exactly as expected. In capitalism, competition doesn't remain fully open. And in socialism, coordination doesn't scale without limits. In this episode, we explore a third pattern, not how systems break down, but how they are stabilized. More specifically, how modern economies are stabilized through policy intervention and how that intervention reshapes the system over time. But first, one quick clarification. In TNBC, we separate ideology, systems, and governance. Ideologies describe how systems are expected to work. Systems describe how activity is organized in practice. And governance describes how rules are created, applied, and enforced. In this episode, and in the episodes on capitalism and socialism, we focus on systems. Not what Keynesian ideas aim to achieve, but how they behave in practice within a broader, complex society. At its core, Keynesianism rests on one central idea. When economic activity weakens, the system can be stabilized by boosting demand through government spending, deficits, lower interest rates, and financial support. Instead of letting the economy fully adjust on its own, intervention smooths out the fluctuations. This approach has delivered real benefits. It has reduced the depth of recessions, prevented financial collapses, supported employment, and maintained continuity in complex modern economies. In many crises, timely intervention has avoided far worse outcomes. Yet economic activity does not operate in isolation. It exists within a wider system shaped by political structures, monetary conditions, and societal dynamics. These domains interact continuously, and their combined effects shape outcomes over time. As these systems become more interconnected, the cost of instability rises. That creates pressure to intervene earlier, more broadly, and more forcefully. Here, the dynamic shifts. Stability no longer emerges naturally from the economic system. It is enforced through policy. Markets are supported. Liquidity is provided. Demand is sustained. Short-term pain is reduced. But the economic and financial system itself begins to change. Think about it in practice. After major downturns, instead of widespread resets, we often see supported markets, rising debt, and continued activity, but with more policy behind it. Businesses keep operating, credit remains available, and asset prices are supported. Fewer businesses fail. Prices fall less sharply, but the underlying adjustments don't fully disappear. Before we continue, if you don't want to miss future episodes and want to join the community exploring these ideas, please like and subscribe. In the economic and financial system, when instability is absorbed rather than allowed to resolve, it doesn't vanish, it shifts. Debt increases instead of failures. Asset prices rise instead of fully correcting. Inefficient companies and structures continue instead of exiting. And more of the risk is carried by governments and public institutions instead of private markets. Over time, a new pattern emerges. The system becomes more dependent on stabilization. Markets begin to expect support. Institutions adjust to that expectation. And policy becomes more difficult to reverse without causing disruption. What began as temporary intervention becomes part of how the system operates. This connects directly to the monetary power ladder and the political power ladder we explored in earlier episodes. As stabilization expands, coordination becomes more institutionalized and control grows more direct. The system is no longer purely self-correcting. It is continuously managed. Shocks are absorbed. Pressure is redistributed. Adjustments are postponed. The surface looks more stable, but beneath it, imbalances accumulate. This is why the system can feel stable, even when underlying pressures continue to build. So the deeper pattern is this. The more stability is enforced, the more the system comes to depend on that enforcement. What we see in Keynesian systems is not simply success or failure. It is a shift in how stability is achieved. Stability is not removed from the system, it is managed within it. And that management changes incentives, alters adjustments, and reshapes how the system evolves over time. So the real question is not whether stabilization works in the short term. The real question is, what kind of system emerges when constant stabilization becomes its defining feature? If you want to understand how these systems fit together, TNBC Explainers breaks down the core concepts one by one. Keynesianism is part of TNBC Explainers Module 3. Economy, Money, and Financial Power. This is TNBC Explainers, understanding how the world actually works. In Part 1, we explored how perception and narrative shape behavior. In Part 2, how power is structured and exercised. And in Part 3, how economic and monetary systems interact. Together, they form a broader framework for understanding the societies we live in. Explore the TNBC Explainers course via the YouTube course list, or visit thenextbigcycle.world for the full course overview and background. This is The Next Big Cycle. TNBC Explainers, your guide to understanding the systems shaping the world around you. TNBC Explainers is a growing YouTube course. New concepts are added over time.